2010. Kolwezi, Democratic Republic of the Congo. A boy no older than 12 drags a sack of cobalt rocks out of a tunnel so narrow he can't stand upright. His hands are split open, his feet are bare, his lungs burn with dust. For this, he will be paid less than $2. That same summer, in California, Apple was preparing to launch the iPhone 4, the device that would redefine the smartphone, sell millions in days, and lock the world into a future powered by lithium-ion batteries that depend on cobalt. This is the contradiction the tech industry never puts in its glossy ads. While Silicon Valley was celebrating sleek glass screens and a clean energy future, the metal that made it possible was being mined by children underground. This is Cobalt Wars, tech giants and child slavery in the Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo produces 60% of the world's cobalt, a metal most people have never heard of, but one that powers almost every device you own. Your smartphone, your laptop, your electric car, all of them depend on this silvery blue mineral extracted from the earth by some of the world's most vulnerable people. The iPhone 4 launched on June 24, 2010. In the first 3 days, Apple sold 1.7 million units. Each device contained roughly 8 grams of cobalt. Do the math. That's over 13 tons of cobalt sold in just 72 hours. Cobalt that came from places like Kolwezi. In this mining town in Congo's southern Katanga province, entire families have been pulled into the cobalt trade. Children as young as 7 wake before dawn, grab plastic containers, and walk to mining sites where they'll spend the day breathing toxic dust for less than the price of a cup of coffee. Mama Grace sits in her modest home, counting coins with weathered hands. Her 12-year-old son Joseph watches as she makes the calculation every family here faces. "School costs money we don't have," she tells him. "The mines, they pay today. It's not really a choice. It's survival." Conservative estimates suggest 40,000 children work in Congo's cobalt mines. They work without safety equipment, without protective gear, in tunnels that collapse regularly. 40% of Congo's cobalt comes from artisanal mining, small-scale operations where safety regulations are suggestions and child labor is commonplace. Dr. Mukendi works at the local hospital in Kolwezi. Every day, he examines children with respiratory problems that would be shocking in any other context. "I see children who should be in school," he explains. "Instead, they have the lungs of old men. The cobalt dust, it never leaves their bodies." They use phrases like due diligence and responsible sourcing and supplier codes of conduct. Sarah Thompson is a supply chain executive at a major tech company. When asked about child labor in Congo, her response follows a script perfected by the industry. "We source from certified smelters. What happens upstream, that's not our direct responsibility." It's a careful dance of accountability. The supply chain is deliberately opaque, designed to provide plausible deniability rather than transparency. Cobalt travels from Congo to China, where it's refined in smelters that mix ore from dozens of different mines. By the time it reaches a battery factory, its origins have been thoroughly obscured. Companies can point to their supplier codes, their audit systems, their commitment to responsible sourcing. But these systems weren't designed to see children like Joseph. They were designed to ensure companies could claim they tried. The irony is everywhere in Kolwezi. In the village square, children play with makeshift toys made from electronic waste. Broken phones, computer parts. The very communities mining cobalt for our connected world remain disconnected from its benefits. 14-year-old Boniface works alone in a tunnel where his father died in a collapse 6 months earlier. "If I don't work, my family doesn't eat," he says, his voice echoing in the narrow shaft. The walls around him are stained blue-green with cobalt ore. The same ore that will end up in a Tesla battery pack assembled by robots in a spotless California factory. Marie, a mother of 4, describes the calculation every family makes. The big mining companies, they hire some people, but not many. The small mines, they take anyone, even children. We know it's dangerous. We know it's wrong. But what choice do we have? Her daughter Claudine is 15. She's been working in the mines for 3 years. Her hands permanently stained blue-green from cobalt exposure. "I wanted to be a teacher," she says. "Maybe when we have enough money, I can go back to school." It's a hope that sounds more like a prayer. The global appetite for cobalt is insatiable. Every year, demand grows. Electric vehicles need it. Smartphones need it. The clean energy revolution that promises to save the planet runs on batteries that depend on a metal extracted by children whose names we'll never know. Tesla alone consumed an estimated 8,000 tons of cobalt in 2020. That's enough to employ thousands of artisanal miners for a full year. At current rates, one Tesla Model S contains the equivalent of a year's work for a child miner in Congo. Dr. Emmanuel Umpula, a Congolese mining expert, asks the question that haunts this industry. When companies say their cobalt is responsibly sourced, what does that mean when a child died here yesterday? Six years after the iPhone 4 launch, pressure began building. The device had become the fastest-selling product in Apple's history, spawning an entire industry of smartphone manufacturers. Millions of devices flew off shelves worldwide, each one containing cobalt that traveled from the tunnels of Kolwezi to the factories of Shenzhen to gleaming electronics stores across the globe. But the human cost was becoming harder to ignore. Human rights organizations started documenting conditions in Congo's mines. Journalists began tracing supply chains from Silicon Valley back to the tunnels of Kolwezi. Lawsuits were being filed against major tech companies. Apple's response was swift and calculated. They published supplier responsibility reports running to hundreds of pages. They announced investments in supply chain auditing. They talked about eventually eliminating cobalt from their batteries entirely. Samsung followed suit. So did Tesla. So does Microsoft. The announcements came with glossy presentations and carefully crafted press releases. The message was clear. We take this seriously. We're committed to change. Trust us to police ourselves. But children still work in Congo's cobalt mines. The problem isn't that these companies don't care. Many genuinely want to address the crisis they helped create. The problem is that caring isn't enough when your business model depends on maintaining just enough distance between the gleaming Apple Store and the dark tunnels of Kolwezi. There are success stories. Schools being built in mining communities, clinics opening their doors, some companies investing directly in Congo, bringing safety standards and fair wages to small-scale operations. Local advocates like Julian Ngozi are organizing mining communities, teaching workers about their rights, documenting abuses. We don't want charity, she explains. We want justice. We want fair wages for fair work. We want our children in schools, not mines. But progress is maddeningly slow. For every child enrolled in school, there are dozens more entering the mines. The economic pressures that drive families into mining remain overwhelming. The price of cobalt fluctuates wildly, but the wages paid to miners remain stagnant. International organizations have attempted to create certification systems for ethical cobalt, but these often fail to reach the smallest, most dangerous operations where children are most likely to work. Government corruption in Congo means that official oversight is sporadic at best. Chinese companies have invested billions in Congolese mining infrastructure. Their operations are larger, more mechanized, theoretically safer, but their labor practices often mirror the problems they were meant to solve. The solution isn't to stop mining cobalt in Congo. That would devastate communities that depend on mining income. The solution is to ensure that Congo's mineral wealth benefits Congolese people, that workers are treated with dignity, that children are protected. But this requires something the tech industry has long resisted: true transparency, real supply chain visibility, accountability that goes beyond audit reports and press releases. Right now, as you watch this on your smartphone or laptop, children are working in Congo's cobalt mines. The cobalt they extract may be in the device you're using at this very moment. This connection isn't metaphorical. It's real, direct, and immediate. Boniface is 18 now, no longer the 14-year-old who took his father's place after the tunnel collapse. He's gotten stronger, more skilled at spotting dangerous sections of tunnel. But he's also gotten sicker, his breathing more labored, his cough more persistent. "I still think about school sometimes," he says, "but thinking doesn't pay for food." We tell ourselves that technology connects us all, but what if the real connection is the one we refuse to see? In Silicon Valley, engineers are developing new battery chemistries that could reduce cobalt dependence. In Geneva, diplomats are negotiating supply chain transparency agreements. In New York, investors are demanding ESG compliance from the companies they fund. But in Kolwezi, the sun rises on another day in the mines. The technology in our pockets has changed everything about how we live, work, and connect with each other. Everything, that is, except the conditions under which it's made. Your phone will be outdated in 2 years, but the scars in this soil will last for centuries. This is Cobalt Wars, tech giants and child slavery in the Congo.